Hey, welcome back to Mike's Italian Grand Adventure. I was just in Prague for a week. I had to head back. My motorcycle, Sasha, her little safety inspection was expiring in a few days here, and I didn't have any other options than to go all the way back to Prague with her. So it was a long trip. I paid $45, and it took 15 minutes for them to make sure the turn signals and the headlight and the brake lights and the horn worked. Just ridiculous. But great thing is I got to see some friends when I was back there, and it was cold on the way going up there. It was rainy in Austria, stormy, cold, kind of miserable. But then I got to Prague and it was chilly the first day. Then the sun came out, warmed up. It was quite lovely. And the ride home, I had an awesome ride. I came all the way across Germany, went down to Lake Constance, or Der Bodensee, which is right on the border with Switzerland, and then spent a night there, and then went up and over the top of the Alps through Switzerland, and then back down into northern Italy. And man, what a spectacular ride, really incredible. So I'll be doing a little more exploring there when I have a little more free time after this project's done. So anyway, of course, while I was gone in Prague, something happened. You're not gonna believe this one. So come on back, I'll tell you the story. Welcome back. Let me just show you a little progress here on the project before I tell you what happened. Just one of those incredible things that, actually it really didn't make a difference that I was here or not. Paolo took care of it, but had I been here, I would have probably been a lot more stressed than just getting a text of him telling me about it and then the next day or 2 days later telling me it was resolved. But let's take a look. So here is the kitchen on my floor. So this is the IKEA kitchen floor. And if you remember, this wall here was angled back quite a bit. So from the bottom, or kind of the middle here, to the top of this wall where the cabinets will be, it was like 3 inches off. So if you remember on a previous episode, we talked about it. What they did is they just built out a frame. And you can see it's just set back from the wall 3 inches. So what that'll allow us to do is when the cabinets come up against here, it'll be flush, there'll be no gap. Otherwise, there would have been a huge gap back here, like a 3-inch gap at the top. So this is nice, perfect plumb. The cabinets will sit flush, everything will be a square wall, and then it just steps back. Just back here, steps right back to where the existing wall is and goes up. So the alternative was to build a new wall and try and tie that all in. And it just didn't make sense to me. I mean, this is an old house, everyone knows it. Walls aren't straight, corners aren't square, floors aren't flat. So you got to do what you can do to make things work. And I think this was a really good solution. I like this one that Paolo came up with. So, but one other really interesting thing is we had a new member come on. So remember I talked about Silvio way back when. He was referred to me from Paolo. He's done some work with Paolo. And I specifically had asked Paolo about his exposed brick ceilings. And he said, Silvio did it, he's awesome, he's great. So that's what I was planning to have Silvio do on this project, and the painting and some other stuff. But as it turns out, as you heard in my other video, we're not gonna be able to expose the brick ceilings in this house because of how they were built. So, but we still got Silvio on board because he's a really good painter. So he was doing some prep work. I got to meet him for the first time. We talked a couple of times when I was down in Colombia this winter. We had a couple of phone calls, and just talking about plans. But since I've been here and Paolo took over the project, he's been in charge. So he started working this week and started doing some sanding. And I met him when I came back, and he said, look at this, man, these paintings are all over the walls. So if you look, this is right above the wall of where the new kitchen wall is gonna be. And if I walk down here, you'll see just some kind of faint outlines and some geometric patterns. And then on this wall, you can really see it. You can see where it was, and that it was really, most likely really beautiful. But, he echoed the same sentiment that really Dodrick had said. He said, first of all, there's painting on every wall and ceiling in here for sure. Every ceiling for sure, but I'll show you my bedroom. It looks like on the walls as well. But the other thing is that he said it's not in really good shape and it'd be really difficult to restore and to try to bring back. So that's really not an option, sadly. But let's head over into my bedroom where they're getting ready to do some painting. And I'll show you one of the things I was really happy about. I had let Dodrick know that I wasn't happy that the floors were not being protected. Like they were trenching out these power outlets and plaster and everything was on the floors and they were walking on it. And I said, man, you got to protect these floors. What are you doing? So I told Paolo I was pretty unhappy about it. And when I got back from Prague, I saw this. So this is that really nice, thick, really thick paper. And they have tape seams and a little newspaper over there for the areas that they couldn't fit the paper in or ran out of it. But this is something that makes me really happy because this, you know, quite honestly, I felt as though they weren't really respecting the floors and they were kind of nonchalant about it. Dodrick was like, oh, it's just plaster falling, you know, it's just whatever. And I was like, no, there's concrete under the plaster. And I saw huge chunks come out and hit the floor. And I said, I want these floors protected. Just put a blanket down, put a sheet, whatever, where you're working. It's no big deal. Just make sure you protect it. And then, you know, don't walk on it. Don't grind it into the tiles. So I'm happy to see this. But this wall here is another example that Silvio was telling me about. You can see on the wall. So this isn't just like a painting on the ceiling or a trim. This is coming all the way down here to like, this is chest level for me. And you can see this red paint here, red here, all over. So there was definitely something on these walls. What was there? I don't know. But can you imagine what that must have looked like? I mean, wow, all those paintings on all these walls. Quite honestly, I think it would have been a little too much for me. So not my style. But yeah, so this is cool. So they're starting painting. I got to pick colors out. So we're going to be working on that. And let's go into the bathroom here. They got a few things done in here that I was glad to see. First of all, if you remember down here, they had forgotten to put in the drain water and electrical for the clothes washing machine. So they had to trench in the wall after they'd already sealed it up and connected over here, but that's all been repaired and fixed up. They're working on some final layers of plasters and doing some sanding on the walls and the ceilings. These walls are going to be tiled over here, so we're going to have tile here at this level, and then all the way around, and then it'll step up because the shower is going to be here, and then we're just going to go all the way to the corner with tile, so this whole wall will be tile. But what they did get hooked in here is they got the control valve for the shower, and they got the where the wand will hook up, and then they got the shower head up here. So that's good. So they got all that stuff set up. Yeah, kind of getting close here. These walls here, this wall's not going to have tile. It's got a radiator hanging here, and then the boiler for the hot water heater is going to be up here. So nice to see that. You know, that stuff's looking good. Let's pop upstairs. Actually, well, there's one thing downstairs. Really, that room that I've kind of thought I'm going to use as a gym. They'd cleaned that up, and the wall is quite crooked. It's the opposite of the one in here. Instead of the top leaning back, the bottom is kind of in. But I said, you know what, don't bother. Don't bother trying to straighten that wall out. And if it's easier to do plaster or drywall, just pick one. Whatever's going to take less time and cost less. And he said, probably just plaster. So they'll put some like cement on the wall, make it smooth and you know, not vertically straight plumb, but you know, flat all the way up, and then plaster it. And I think that's going to be a better solution. But I did take a little video of that, so you can see that there. But so that up here, again, they're just starting to do some prep work on these walls for painting. And you can see they're kind of working on the cracks, getting them ready to do some more repair on these cracks that were existing. And you can see some more blue paint. So up here in the room over is where there was more paint, but they must have had some really nice colors up here. You know, again, we're not going to try and work on that. So this would be the bedroom. Not much going on in here. Just again, kind of cleaning the walls, prepping, getting ready for some painting. One thing that I don't think I'd shown you guys before is, let me see if I can get up there. If you look where this light fixture used to be, there is a star faint under the paint. Let's see if you can see it. So get a little closer. I think right there you can see it. So it would be really cool if we can restore it or paint on top of that, because that's kind of like a really cool little medallion fixture. If you look, it's like a star, and then at the end of the stars, maybe they have little diamonds, like right over here. I think that's what that could be. So yeah, you know, I honestly didn't notice that until I was walking through here with a friend, and they noticed it and mentioned it. So that would be kind of a cool thing up in here. So yeah, let's take a look here. And then this is going to be the kitchen. So actually this kitchen I've ordered already, and it's supposed to be here in 8 days. So they're not working, today's a holiday, but they'll be working tomorrow. So I'm going to let them know that this needs to be a priority. This needs to get done. So they need to shift up here and get these walls all sanded, all prepped, and then get ready to paint and you know, have this painted within a few days. I would say by the middle of next week. I think it's Friday that they're coming, so a week from tomorrow. So they're gonna have to jump on this room real quick. This is gonna have to be a priority. But they're getting ready to do painting, and there's actually 4 guys here. So we've got the original crew of 3, and Silvio joined us. So with 4, you know, put a couple of guys in here, they should be able to whip this out in a day or 2 and get this done. So yeah, let's just pop here into the bathroom up here. And once again, they've done a few things in here. They got the shower. This is gonna be a little smaller shower in here, but they've got where the wand is gonna go here, the shower control here, and then the shower head is plumbed in up here. So this is for the the water heater that's gonna be hanging on the other side of this wall. We're gonna tile all the way around here, obviously, because of the shower is gonna be in here. So this is a square shower that's like 90 centimeters by 90 centimeters. So, you know, roughly this line on the wall here, and then almost over the door frame here. So it's a smaller square shower, but it's, man, for Europe, it's pretty good size. I've been in some small ones where, you know, my shoulders don't fit even hardly in there. You have to be at an angle, and you open the doors and you have to go through sideways because I can't fit through there. So this will be better. And then in this bathroom, right behind the bag here, are the water lines for the sink, the bidet, and the toilet is going to be over there. So that's really all that's going on up here. They've been doing a bunch of work out here in the entranceway or the stairwell coming up, and I got to be honest, man, it just feels so much better in there. You remember here, I've said it many times, you've probably seen it a bunch of times, that plastic wainscoting that was all the way up the wall, all the way up here, all the way from the bottom. I mean, in the entranceway, they had like a pine wainscoting, and then plastic, nasty, orangey stuff all the way up here. So that's all been removed, and the millions of nails I pulled, and then Adam was working on filling in the holes, and now they're doing some final plaster and smoothing and sanding. And you can see these are all the cracks that were up the wall, all the way up there. They've been working on those. So just kind of, you know, etching them out a little bit, making them a little bigger so the material will fit in there. And then they can plaster over the top of it and clean everything up. But you can see it goes all the way up there. So this is really looking nice. Already it just looks so much brighter in here, and so much more inviting, you know, than it did when they first, or when I first came in here. So, you know, that's it. That's the progress. They've been doing some electrical. I see they have some outlets in, like in the bathrooms. They've remudded this in where that, this is where that water lines were, and down here they had a couple of water lines, and it was tiled up around this way. I don't know what that was being used for. But my expensive closet downstairs is also getting pretty close to being done. But, you know, they had to put some drywall in there, and the drywall is not vertical because they had to fix the back. And so anyway, what are you going to do? That's a story I can tell people when they're coming here. So, but anyway, this is a big one here. This is nice. Oh, funny story about IKEA. Okay, so IKEA, I designed this kitchen like 3 weeks ago, at least, maybe almost a month ago. And with the first design. And then I had like an online video conference for like, I don't know, an hour, 45 minutes or something like that. So then I wanted to make a few changes. So I emailed them back. They said, just respond to this email with changes. Well, like 4, 5, 6 days went by and I didn't hear anything. So I just scheduled a second consultation, which they said was fine, no problem. So I did that. But again, that was like 4 days out. So there's well over a week. So I get the second consultation. We get things straightened out, change a few things. Everything looks really good. They send me the quote. I look at it. I look up every single part number to make sure they're not selling me extra stuff, because on the first one, they were selling me extra stuff. Like, for instance, they were selling me side panels to the cabinets that are going to be pushed against this wall that no one's going to ever see. So why do I need a side panel? It's not exposed. So they had them for both ends of the kitchen. So anyway, I had them take all that stuff off and then went through and fine-tuned it and changed the color of it, changed the color from black to stainless steel for a couple of appliances, for the hood and for the oven. So I did all that stuff, and then it got back to me. Well, then I saw that these guys had already bought this flexible ductwork for the hood. This is where the exhaust hood is going to go. And IKEA had put one on my order, and I didn't want that. And they had put that and charcoal filters, which you can't use both, you use one or the other. So I had them take off the charcoal filters, but I didn't know the guys had bought this. So then I emailed them and said, okay, take this off. Another five days go by. Finally, I get a response back. Okay, great. We've taken that off, and send in your questionnaire. They send you a questionnaire that has things about delivery. Do you have a staircase? Can they drive their cars at a restricted area of the town that they can't drive their van or their delivery vehicle into? Will they have electricity? Will they have lights? All this kind of stuff. So I fill it all out. I email it to them. And then a few days later, someone emails me back and says, we'd love to give you a quote, but we can't until we get the questionnaire. The answered questionnaire, completed questionnaire. And I'm like, I sent it to you 2 days ago. I said, look back in the emails, but here it is again. So then all of a sudden a day later, they say, okay, great, we got it, but there's a problem. Your panels for the doors and the drawers are not available. So then they say, okay, well, we can either ship everything that we have, or you can wait a week and see if the panels come into stock. So I told them to do that because I don't need to buy this right now. I'm just kind of waiting a little bit. I have a bunch of expenses coming up this week with other stuff. So I was like, I don't need the kitchen right away. I'm going to wait. But if this week I don't hear from them, I'm just going to say, just order it. And all I really need are the boxes that I can put in here and the appliances and the drawers and everything. And then when the fronts to the drawers and the doors for the cabinets come in, that'll be an easy one. But I also don't want them to charge me twice for shipping. So we'll see. I'll check that out with them. But man, it's been a process. Certainly has not been smooth. Much less smooth than I thought it would be. Actually, I'm kind of shocked. I thought IKEA ran a smoother ship than that. But yeah, not the case. But anyway, hopefully we'll get this thing ordered up and get this in here soon. And we're halfway through the project now. I'm scheduled to leave in about a month. So a lot of this stuff I need to get ordered, get it ready. The tile for the bathrooms, the tile for the entranceway, the paint so they can start painting this IKEA kitchen. So yeah, it's kind of, you got to order stuff now so it gets here in time to get it done. So feeling a little bit of a time crunch already. So, all right, well, that's the update for right now. And let me tell you last, the story I led with, by the way. So I get an email from Paolo. He says, we got to the job site today and there was a door on the front, or a note on the front door of your house saying that there was a water leak next door that we had caused. And I'm like, what are you talking about? How is that possible? We've got 3-foot thick walls. And then Paolo's like, yeah, and there's also 2 feet between your wall and your neighbor's wall. So it's not possible. But Paolo called them and talked to them. It's a couple from Milan or some family from Milan that owns the place next door that they don't live here. I don't know if they've ever been here recently. So he called them and they said they'd hired a plumber. And Paolo's like, oh, I know this plumber. I'll call him, Mike, don't worry, I'll talk to him. And he's gonna be over at the house on Monday and we're gonna go check and see what's going on. He's gonna look all through here. So they did. And there had been water dripping in my cantina, in the cellar, in the very bottom. And I just thought it was because we'd had so much rain that it had kind of saturated through, because the ceiling and the walls are stone in there. So I just thought it had just kind of made its way through the stone after the rain. But no, what it turns out is there was a leak in this house over here, unrelated to us, unconnected to anything we're doing. but it was sending water into my cantina, my cellar, and also into the neighbor's house. So apparently, I think they've got that resolved. I don't know if there's still water dripping. I haven't been down there yet, but this is so funny. I was here for a month, and I was here every single day for a month, and I leave, and the second day I'm gone, this happens. But fortunately, Paolo was here. He was on the ball. He took care of it. And like I said earlier, even if I'd been here, probably wouldn't have happened any different, just that I would have been more stressed about it because I would have known about it right away. But since Paolo knew the plumber, he took care of him. And on a side note, we might get a quote from this plumber because Paolo cannot get a quote from Valerio. He still hasn't responded, just like the problem I was having for months. Even though Valerio had come over here twice since I've been here, and I've seen him here twice, taking measurements, finding out about stuff, he just has not given a quote. So I don't know if it's because Doderick and the guys were ripping out the plumbing in the bathroom and putting in new plumbing, and Valerio's like, I don't want to deal with that, whatever. But I had problems with him before that. So I think it's just he's super busy and can't get stuff to you on time. Even in Italian time, you can't get it to us because Paolo even is getting frustrated. So he's looking for someone else. So he's trying to find some other people because we'll still need two things for sure. The water line from here in my cellar to the meter is a piece of lead pipe. So that has to be replaced, obviously. And then there's a big pressure tank down there with a pump on it to provide water pressure for the whole house. So like a cistern, actually. And so I want a new one of those too. So we got a quote from Valerio to do it, and it was really reasonable, but we can't get a hold of him. So I don't know. Hopefully this new guy will give us a good price, maybe even a better price, and we can get those two things taken care of at least. So a few other developments, a couple other things going on, but I'm going to save those until next week's video because they're not resolved, and we're just kind of working through them right now with the heating system. So stay tuned next week for that. But other than that, these are the updates that are going on the week I was gone. This is what's changed, and feels like we're kind of starting to get into the final stages when we're talking about putting paint on the walls. So super exciting. All right, if you like this content, please click on the thumbs up for a like. Also, if you're not one of my already 2,000 and I think 7 subscribers at this point, please click on the subscribe button. And if you want to get notifications when I upload new videos, click on the bell because it will go ding for the bell. And then, just stay tuned for new videos. I've started doing shorts every Monday and Wednesday, and then full videos are coming out Friday. I figured there's so much stuff going on. I just wanted to share a lot more with you guys. So keep an eye out for those. And once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for following along. Thanks for all your comments. Really appreciate it. And I think that's it for now. Have a great one. I'll see you guys next week.